Welcome back everybody to Megaman Rocks. We have just completed Repairman, one of the least favorite stages of mine in this fan game, and we are moving onwards to Anchorman, which by all rights should have been weak to Repairman's weapon. But, yeah, given the nature of Repairman's weapon, he isn't weak to anything. Now, he is a little more weak to your standard Mega Buster, but not by much. So he's actually a good starting point boss if you really want. I prefer to start with Fireman, but if anybody wants an idea of where to go first, Anchorman, you can't go too wrong with him. Now the majority of his stage is pretty much... Wow, extra life straight from the start. Now that's funny. The majority of his stage is pretty much just going from left to right on some nondescript nautical type areas, I could say, with the graphics, and just blasting enemies. There's no real gimmicks to speak of, and it's just straight platforming and busting up robots. That's pretty much it. And really, that's all Mega Man should be about. In fact, most of these levels, Mega Man Rocks, I wouldn't be surprised if they deliberately harken back to the simple days of Mega Man 1, Mega Man 2, where there weren't any stage gimmicks to save it, to give it some, what's the word, extra flair. So, yeah. I mean, the water here is the biggest stage gimmick, but there isn't anything that would, oh gosh. And you really need to avoid those big shark tanks. If you don't get the drop on them first with a huge Mega Buster Blast, then you might as well just forget it. Because they take way too many hits before they get above your position and start dropping landmines or water mines. But yeah, there's not too many gimmicks in these Mega Man Rock stages. And I'm not sure if that was deliberate or if that was for lack of time spent on the game. And let's talk about that. Time spent on this game. It was made by one person and one person only, Eric Ruth. And it was built over a span of 3 months, according to his README file. So he programmed the entire engine. Other than, those seals and other ripped graphics, he made all the textures and all the new robots and bosses himself. And he programmed all the music, or sequenced all the music, and pretty much did everything custom himself in a span of 3 months, and released the game. Now, that's pretty impressive by, any means. It's completely impressive. However, the lack of polish that happened within those 3 months definitely shows. Not so much in this level, but in future levels we will go through. Yes, it is a major problem, and some of that polish could have been applied to the play control and platforming aspects. And it's going to be really evident once we hit Hitman stage. Haha. See what I did there? Now this part can be a little tricky for those not used to some of the wonky play control in this game. It is not like the original Mega Man. He does not control the same way. And you have to account for that fact when moving on these platforms. But really, this is only the tricky part of the entire stage. I think in my practice runs, I only failed in this section twice. Everywhere else in this particular level, I was actually pretty good at. And I didn't really get any outtakes. In fact, when I finally started recording, this was my first attempt actually recording. So it turned out just fine. And proves that his level is probably very simple and should be the first one you go to. Now Anchorman, I would have picked a different design for him, because right now he just looks pretty silly. he looks pretty ridiculous for a Robot Master. Anyway, if you shoot him when he's swinging his anchors, he pretty much blocks the attack. And then he goes and does this little... I don't know what he's dropping. Maybe metal shards, anchor shards. I'm not entirely sure. But you want to avoid those. Another thing you need to avoid is his body, because he hits like a brick. I mean, his anchors don't do too much damage, but if you do contact damage to Anchorman, he will make sure you regret doing so. He does far more damage than anything else he does, attacking-wise. Oh, he would have died on that shot. Of course, he's just prolonging the battle at this point. Yep, see how much damage that just took off my health? That was a lot. And we're done. Now we get Anchor Swing, which is actually one of the more versatile go-to weapons in the game. Just does a lot more damage and affects a lot more enemies more quickly and less shots than your Imbuster does. So we've completed 3 levels and we have 5 more to go. Until then, see you later.